The Maple Leafs hope to stay hot in Sweden with the Global Series games against Detroit and Minnesota this weekend. Hey everyone, welcome to Inside the Leafs. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Maple Leafs writers Lance Hornby and Terry Koshan. And guys, it's been 20 years since a Maple Leafs team stepped foot in Sweden to play a hockey game, but this weekend's matchups against Detroit and Minnesota will be the first regular season games the Leafs play outside of North America. Considering their long history of rostering Swedish greats like Salming, Sundin, and now Nylander, Terry, is it nice for the Leafs to finally be taking part in something like this?
Well, yeah, I mean, the history is one thing, but the present as well, Rob. And what William Nylander is doing, what a time for him to go play in his home country, right? You know, if he gets points in these two games, a point, at least a point in one of each, sorry, you know, he'll tie Connor McDavid for the longest active streak to start a season, longest streak to start a season by an active player at 17 games. So, he's firing all cylinders. Obviously, all the Leafs Swedes are excited about it, and really the whole team is as a whole. But you know, as Keith reminded yesterday, the goal is to still go and win 2 hockey games. But certainly, with a lot of the things happening around the team, I think it's great for the club and really a special time for William Nylander.
Well, I was among the conspiracy theorists, Terry, who thought they would announce a Nylander deal over there because his dad was over there, and what better way to inconvenience everybody else back here in Toronto than to pull that off? But yeah, it is a big deal for him, and you got to look at a guy like William Larguson too, who was not supposed to be part of this team. He gets a free trip home to Sweden as well as Kalle Järnkrok, and obviously we see, even though he's injured, that Timothy Liljegren is over there. So it is a good chance for the Leafs to go. I'm sure a different perspective had they lost the last 2 games going in, then might we be worried about would Sheldon Keefe come home with them at all if he wasn't let go beforehand. You know, it's just based on some of the lynch mob mentality going around the team whenever they get into one of these October slides. But a better performance last couple of games, and that makes the Sweden trip a different perspective.
Yeah, the Leafs really did need to win those 2. I think certainly the game against Vancouver and the way that they played, you know, extinguishing one of the hot teams or one of NHL's hottest teams, I thought was a great effort and all that. But yeah, you know, it's 2 more now, and you know, a loss or 2 in Sweden will not, you know, settle those people down like Lance referred to upon returning home for practice early next week.
Yeah, should also mention that John Klingberg, one of the other Swedes, that Sheldon Keefe says it is unlikely that he'll play on Friday because of the tough travel, of course, and he's still battling some sort of an injury. So, bit of a tough break for Klingberg. Maybe he gets in there on Sunday against his old team, the Minnesota Wild. Meanwhile, you know, these games, obviously, a big importance for the Leafs, but there's a lot of time off in between, Lance. The Leafs haven't played since that Saturday win over Vancouver, and then after Sunday's game, they won't play again until Friday. The travel is a big part of that, but could that potentially be beneficial for some of these guys that could be banged up like a Klingberg, or could it be harmful for the Leafs as they try to get into a bit of a routine here?
Well, there was always that feeling that whenever teams went over to Europe, it was always trouble. Teams, especially, I think Calgary went over a couple of times early. Other clubs went over, and they didn't do very well. This was early in the season, of course, most cases training camp, and they came back, and there was like a curse over them. They never really got started. This is interesting that the Leafs are 15 games in, and they'll be a bit more relaxed. As Sheldon Keefe said, it's going to be the time change battle more than anything, but they have a few days to acclimatize. And they're also, I believe, going to get Detroit in a back-to-back, so that's going to help. It will be 50%, I guess, is how they react to the time and everything in the different rink and the different surroundings. The other 50% will be when they come back. What kind of jet lag is there? They have a few days off before they play again. But I'm sure they're hoping for a split, and that would be ideal for them given the travel circumstances.
Yeah, it is a little odd, this global series. Lance is right. I mean, the Wings and Senators play Thursday, so it is a back-to-back for Detroit. You know, obviously they're going to be in the same hotel and everything, and not have to travel after they play the Senators. But you know, perhaps that could be the Leafs' advantage. In the bigger picture, I don't think it's going to be that big a deal that, you know, they've had this time off. I mean, the way they did this, I like what they did. You know, they practice here Monday, they fly, and more or less get them right on the ice immediately. You know, as anyone who's done these overnight trips to Europe, trying to sleep on the plane, and even with the cushy accommodations the Leafs would have in their charter, is not easy. And, you know, I know some of the players were saying talking about a 3 or 4 hour sleep, but you get them on the ice right away, you get them set up for what they hope was proper sleep on Tuesday night into Wednesday into today, and you go from there. But like I say, by the time they hit the ice on Friday night Stockholm time, I would imagine that they'll be fine, and then Sunday won't be an issue after they're out on the ice on Saturday. But again, you come back next week, and like Lance says, I think there'll be a few days off before they're even on the ice to practice. Then they're into Chicago next Friday. But yeah, just the way that the sports science team has set them up and everything, and the schedule being what it is, even though we've seen the Leafs have lots of rest here in Toronto at times and still get off the slow start. So I don't know if that happens Friday. I don't know if you can pin that on the travel. I think they'll be ready to go. I mean, if they're not pumped for Friday, they will never be pumped for a game given the surroundings of the Swedish players I've discussed.
Oh, yeah, and a really quick thing, guys, it's back to the original point. I mean, there's going to be a lot of talk about Borje Salming when they're over there, and, that's a magical name as far as the Leafs are concerned, and playing in his home country as much as Matt Sundin's is going to fire them up, I think. They would have to be favored as the quote-unquote home team in this.
Yeah, agreed.
Should be a lot of fun. It all gets started on Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, Leafs and Red Wings. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below or send us an email at torontomapleleafs@postmedia.com. For Lance Hornby and Terry Koshan, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.